you have like any doubts that you probably wasn't gonna get through nursing school after like all the segregation like that happened against you? Like, did you have any doubts?
No, there were 7 of us, and we were just unified. We were determined we were going to get through. We supported each other, and no matter what, we were determined we were going to get through. We really didn't have any choice, because if we didn't make it there, our parents didn't have the money to send us anywhere else. You know, like we started off with 8 black girls and about 40-some white girls in the class. And after the first week, one of the girls whose parents could afford to send her to a 4-year college, she left because she said she couldn't take it. But we were determined. I really had no doubt that I was going to make it.
Like, how has the civil rights movement affected you?
Well, I was in the middle of the civil rights thing in Mississippi, like the boycotts, the bus, when we couldn't ride the bus, we had to find transportation to get everybody to work. And sometimes people would run late and they maybe get in trouble on their jobs because their employers knew that they were late because they wouldn't ride the bus and they were waiting for a ride. And when it was time to vote, it was difficult for the black people to vote because you had to, in addition to paying poll tax, you had to also interpret a portion of the Constitution before you could register to vote. So consequently, people who couldn't read or write were not able to register to vote. You know, and I did, we went through the process. Fact of the matter, I still at home, I was looking through some stuff the other day, I have a copy of the receipt where I paid poll taxes way back in, it had to be in the 60s.
Why did you choose to get involved with the civil rights movement?
Well, I was just thrown right in the middle of it. You either lay down and pretend nothing is happening, or you get involved.
Like, well, how did your family feel about you getting involved with it?
Well, actually, the entire family was involved. Back in that time, there was my brother and my mom. Everybody did their part. You know, if there was a call for a boycott, you were part of it if you boycotted, you know. Don't get on the bus. So there were a few stragglers that got on the bus, but not enough to make it matter, and consequently the buses stopped running because there were nobody on it. So it was pretty, I would say 99% participation back in those days in Mississippi.
What's the role of your African American church in your community?
Well, the church, you know, in our lives, that's one of the mainstays, because that's where the meetings were, there's where we worshiped, and that was kind of like the sanctuary. And even today, in being involved in the church, as I say, in music, I've always done gospel music, and so I worked in the church a lot. I played piano and did vocals, and that was mostly my thing, was music. That's just a big part of my life. I've tried going to different churches and just sitting and not being involved, but it just doesn't work. I have to be involved in music.
What would you say your biggest accomplishment is?
I would say, let's see, the biggest accomplishment, well, the first one was getting through the nursing school in my right mind. And because it was pretty terrible. And then the fact that over the years, though, in applying for jobs, I've pretty well gotten some pretty good jobs based on my work ethics, you know, opposed to what color you are. And then I would say raising my children, you know, having them to turn out to be creative working citizens.
Like, what would you say your happiest and saddest memories are?
Well, I guess the happiest was the birth of my children, and the saddest was about 3 years ago when my grandma died, because my grandmother raised me, and she's the one that kind of set the groundwork for my beliefs. So that was the saddest, when my grandma died.
And 20 years down the road, what would you want people to remember about Beatrice Jackson?
That I probably will be remembered for, that's the little lady that sings and plays in church. I think that's mostly, and hopefully that in the community, being a registered nurse, even though I'm retired, I kind of I make house calls, you know, if somebody wants their blood pressure check and stuff like that. So in the community, that I have been a help to somebody. There's that song that's called, "If I can help somebody, then my living will not be in vain," and that's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
Is there any other questions or anything else that you would like to share with us?
When I go back to Mississippi now, and I go back at least twice a year, the atmosphere, everything has totally changed. Like coming up as a little girl, you never saw black people on TV, or the clerks in the stores, etc., in the restaurants, in the hotels, and now it's predominantly, you see your black managers, you see your black anchor women, anchor men on TV. They're the clerks, they're the managers, and so even the mayor is a black man now. So, you know, I can see the changes for the better. So we have come a long way. We have not yet totally overcome, but we have come a long ways. Like the commercial says, we've come a long ways, baby. So, thank you for this time.
Okay, well, it's been a pleasure interviewing you today. I appreciate it.
Okay, it's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you.